is the Because Fiction podcast, where we chat about all things Christian fiction. I'm your host, author, and insatiable reader, Shatona Havoc. And guys, we have back with us the one, the only, the very fun, and who is graciously accommodating this evening, Lynn Blackburn. She's here to talk about her last book in the Gossamer Falls series. And guys, I feel like an idiot because it just hit me that book 3, the last book in the series, is Last to Fall. How much more appropriate can you get? Whew. Welcome, Lynn. And yeah, let's talk books because I clearly have no brains.
It is always so fun to be with you. I'm delighted to be here. And yeah, we can talk about the last book in the series, Last of
Oh,
All.
it's so exciting. Now, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who just loves suspense. It is her jam. And we were talking about this series, and she was like, it feels to me like Lynn really just like went all in on the romance in this one. I mean, the suspense is there. It's really there, but it's got way more romance than I remember. And she's just talking about it. And I remembered our previous conversations, and I'm like, yep, that's what she did. She did that on purpose.
Yes.
And you just said you like that.
Oh, I do. I love it. I am okay, did you ever see Scarecrow and Mrs. King on TV?
I have
Back.
seen clips. I have not seen the whole
So
thing. I want to watch the whole series.
I feel like that may be where some of this started because she was a single mom and I think she was looking for a job or something, but the whole gist of it is that she stumbles into a situation and meets this guy who is a spy. And he has
Right.
this, they've got their business, and it was some kind of like I don't remember, an ad agency or a photo agency or something. And they would pull the curtain, they had a closet, and they would move the clothes, and they would go through a hidden door behind the closet. And I guess this would have been probably 80s television.
Yeah.
It was clean. At least if it wasn't, I was too young. I didn't notice that it wasn't. It just flew over my head.
Right.
But I was so fascinated by the idea of this. And of course, they eventually, over like 8 seasons, eventually they get together and you see this romance building the whole time. But I was so fascinated by this idea that there are people out there who are undercover or doing spy kind of work, but I am also just such a sucker for romance. I mean, my motif is hearts. Like my bedroom was full of hearts. It was all the hearts all the time. And so romantic suspense was this perfect combination, but when you're breaking into the industry, you really do have to hit kind of a 50-50 mark with your romance and your suspense. And so that's what I did because I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to write.
Right.
I wanted to be published. And then even that was my goal. I should say that was my goal. I don't know that I ever quite nailed it because even my first series with Rebel, they were like, Lynn leans on the romance side of the spectrum. But then when I was talking to my editor about this series, we had an intentional, very specific conversation about, I mean, all the way to percentages of what do we want our percentage to be. And it was such a different experience because I'm a very intuitive writer. It's not like I have an
Right.
outline and a plan and a spreadsheet because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But
Agreed.
I mean, I just don't. I don't.
I don't either.
But we were like, like Love Inspired Suspense really shoots for 50-50. Most of my dive team series is probably more in the 45-55 to 40-60 range. The Defend and Protect series is probably pretty solidly 40-60. And so we were shooting for 70-30, with the 70 being romance. And when you're going to do that, I love that they said that, the suspense is there, because if you're going to write romantic suspense but lean heavily into the romance, then your suspense has to be high stakes. it
Right.
it can't be lightweight suspense, or
Mm-mm.
it doesn't read as romantic suspense. You really do have to be intentional about high stakes. And so that's the goal. That's what we were shooting for, and it has resonated. A lot of times when you do a poll or something of romantic suspense readers, there's there's a really high percentage of romantic suspense readers who will say they want more suspense than romance. And
Right.
I'm always like, "Really? Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want? More kissing," And it was it was a risk to see how people would do, but I think at least my readers have been really happy and have loved it, and I've been thrilled because it was a lot of fun to write, and it kinda hit all my sweet spots. It is what I would love to read. Like, it's that right amount
Right.
of both, and so yeah, it's been it we're still living there in the 70-30 land with my romantic suspense, and don't plan to change it because it's working
How
for
on
me.
earth do you figure out that you're at 70? I can't even figure
I
that
have no
out.
idea.
How?
My editor does it. I have no idea how she does it. She was like
So she says, "Give me more romance." Nope, gotta take some out. Take some out somewhere.
Because again, this is me. Actually, you would think so, but normally what happens, like in Break My Fall, which was the second book in the series, I actually had a villain POV throughout, and she said, "I think we need to take the villain POV out. It's giving us too much suspense and not enough romance." And
Oh my.
so we did. So we took it was they were short. They were very
Yeah.
short. But we took all of the villain POVs out. And she said, "I think you're worried you don't have enough suspense, and so you're adding it in and we don't need it." And we're like, "Okay." So I have not actually asked her. Like, did she have a spreadsheet? I do not know. I should find out. I don't know how she knows. I really think I think it's probably more intuitive with her as well, as just a feeling that it's not quite as much suspense or romance with either way that what she wants. But I just write the story. I really do. I just write it. I write the
Yep,
story
me too.
the way I want to write it. I don't have to it gives me the freedom to write the relationship scenes and not feel like I have to add more suspense scenes just because I'm writing romantic
Just to
suspense.
combat them.
Yeah, which is nice, and I tend to write very much an ensemble cast with a group of people who are in all of the books, but each
Right.
couple gets their own book, and so it lets me I honestly don't know that I had any more romance necessarily, but it let me lean into the family dynamics and the friendships and those relationships that kind of made up the group. Because I had room to do
Right.
it,
Yeah.
because he wasn't trying to get, another suspense scene in there somewhere. It felt more
Ah,
natural to my personal way of writing if I'm writing a story where I'm not worried about publishing it or sales. I think that's just how I would most naturally write, so it's fun to be in that spot.
oh, I can see that. Okay. So Gossamer Falls, can I just say Gossamer Falls is my favorite series title ever. That is just I just Gossamer Falls is such a brilliant name. I feel like it should exist. I want this place. I want to go camping there.
I do
Okay, I wanna
too.
go camping in a fifth wheel, but I still wanna go camping there.
Thank you for that
But you know what I
clarification. I
mean?
support you in that.
Right?
Yes.
I'm just saying, I'm being honest, I'm being, realistic, but so what is your favorite aside from the adding the romance, obviously, and from the title, because surely you love it as much as I do. What is your favorite part about writing this series? As far as you because it's got kind of a military leaning and all that stuff. What just made you go, yeah, this is my sweet spot? Aside, okay, because we all know it's the romance, right? But aside from that,
Well, when we talked about it when we were planning the series, the first series I wrote for Revell was focused around a law enforcement dive team. The second series was focused around the Secret Service. And my editor said, I'm worried. Not worried, it's probably not the right word, but I'm just aware that if you write another series where the dynamic is centered around some sort of law enforcement group, that's going to create an expectation, and I want you to have more freedom to not have to do that. And so we
which is
have
brilliant.
she really is brilliant. She truly is. And we have military and law enforcement, but the glue is family. And so I think
Right.
that that is probably my sweet spot also because, my anytime anybody asks me about romantic suspense, I'm always like, D. Henderson, the O'Malleys. I mean, that was that found family. It was found family, but
Yep.
that was the thing that tied them together. Every single one of those
Mm-hmm.
books has a different job. They don't all
Right.
do the same thing, but the glue is the family. And
Right.
I think that, and then also the setting. I've never written a book that so very much had the idea of setting as a character.
Right.
We talk about we I actually just taught a group of 8th graders today, and we were talking about story, and one of the things we talked about was that sometimes you can write a story and really it's not a criticism of the story, but the story could take place just about anywhere. It doesn't have to
Right.
be a
Yes.
specific location. And a few tweaks and really the story could happen anywhere. And this series could not happen anywhere else. It has to
Right.
be in Gossamer Falls. It just that's where it works. And my family is from the mountains of North Carolina. I actually just got to speak to the Henderson County Library a week and a half ago, and my 91-year-old grandmother came and
Oh.
got to hear me speak about my books, and it was a blast. And that is where I haven't lived in North Carolina for um, 30 years. Oh, goodness, a long time. But it's still home. It's what feels like home. And so I think there was also something really beautiful about just setting it in the mountains and then the small town and the family vibes. It was a perfect combination. And I would love to write the next series is not blood relatives, but I think there will be another family series soon because I really, really enjoyed that.
Ah, yeah. And those are my found family and family sagas, both of those. Doesn't matter what genre it is. You put those two in a book and you've got me. You just give me domestic fiction, D.E. Stevenson, absolutely. Give me all your family stuff. I mean, I love it. But you're right. DE, where did DE? Oh, because Stevenson, that's why. So D Henderson, I was like, what am I doing? D Henderson did Found Family, probably the best I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Mostly because she started it, she gave them such a long backstory of Found Family that
Mhm.
and they took it so deep that they even actually legally changed their name to the
Yes.
same. I mean, they went all in as Found Family, and because they did, it made you believe in them even when you might not otherwise. Because I mean, how many found or otherwise siblings all end up in these kinds of help other people, situations. I
Right,
mean, they
right.
all are very much a part of this, but it just she made it work, and she made it
Mhm.
work really well. So I love that was definitely obviously some sort of inspiration there, because D is very inspiring, and just love that gal. That she was so sweet. My daughter sent her all of the books that she had by D Henderson. D signed them all and sent them back, and did not charge her postage. Can I just say,
What?
did not charge her postage.
Oh, well, and see, I have a very I mean, already just I was always a fan, and I've never met her, but I feel connected to her because I am she mentored Lynette Eason, who then mentored me. And so
That'll do it.
I feel like there's that chain, that
Right.
our own little found family kind of thing where I have
Yeah.
benefited from not only her writing and her storytelling as a reader, but her kindness and her willingness to give back. Because Lynette, I mean, when she was working with Lynette, that's when they were mailing actual hard like mailing the manuscript
Yes.
printed out to her,
Right.
and she was marking it up and sending it back. And because of her, it was a it was just a generous spirit that has then carried on, and hopefully I'll be able to carry it on too because I honored to be part of that.
Well, you just started today with those 8th graders, I'm just saying. Uh, who knows? One of those may be
You
bringing you
never
her
know.
link to the whatchamacallit, Google Drive or whatever saying, "Can you take a look at this?" It could happen in, 5, 10 years. One
Well,
of
it
those
is.
kids could be
Well, it's true. I mean, I have homeschooled our boys, and I've taught this class every year. This group of eighth graders, they write a short story, and so I come in every year and do a little talk about all of it. And I always tell them I'll read it if they'll send it to me before it's due. They can't send it to me the day of, or I can't
right.
get back to them. And usually 3 or 4 of them will take me up on it, and I'll get emails. And I've read some fantastic stuff from these kids that just if they're creative, and it's fun to see, and I hope they I hope they love it and they wanna keep doing it. So,
Ah,
it's
so
always
exciting.
awesome. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now that we've talked all the way around the book, why don't you tell readers what they're going to get in it? What is this story?
Well, I will preface it with this. I really do try very hard. I put a lot of effort into making my books stand on their own, where you could pick it up and read it, and if you have never read anything else, you wouldn't be lost. You would understand what's going on. With that said, I also know that you're going to miss some nuance if you haven't read the earlier books because
Right. Yeah.
this couple, it starts in the first book of the series where we know they have history, we know they have issues. We don't know what they are, mainly because they won't talk about it. And because I'm an evil author who does that on purpose, so
Right?
that so that you want to know desperately what's happening. But these 2, we actually had some really interesting conversations about them also because one of my goals was that there has been betrayal and pain on both sides. They've both messed up. This is not one of those situations where one of them was clearly in the wrong and the other was clearly in the right, and they never, that one just had to be magnanimous and forgive. They both managed to mess it up in different
Which
ways,
is, let's face it, realistic.
which is realistic. But a lot of times sometimes in stories we don't get that. We get, one person who's done, the horrible thing, and then somebody has to forgive them. And the truth is, because what sometimes happens is we don't always react well when people don't treat us right. And so then it spirals. And boy, these 2 spiraled in a big way. And to the point that they were not speaking to each other. And I really did have fun in the first 2 books writing scenarios where they were in the same space and had to interact and yet could not carry on conversation. It was fun. It was intentional and fun. But the book opens with Bronwyn, who is the heroine, facing a situation where, despite the fact that she doesn't want to have a conversation with this man, she needs him. And while they are not in a good place, she knows he's trustworthy and can help her and has to reach out. And they still manage to not have a conversation for about, I don't know, 15, 20,000 words. I managed to keep them from talking.
I love
And
it. Okay, can I
they're
just
together
say
a
thank
lot.
you? Okay, here's the thing. I can't tell you how many times I've heard and even thought myself, okay, readers say, if they would just have a conversation, it would end. I can't stand it when books are just go on for pages and all that. It could all be solved by a conversation. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what people do.
Yeah.
People don't have those conversations. They avoid them. They don't want to talk about it. They want to nurse their hurts because talking about it brings up a different type of hurt, usually finding out that you're just as wrong as the other person and you know it and you don't want to go there. So thank you for just letting them be human.
Well, and I do get that from the
I
perspective that
do.
you don't have real conflict if we could solve all of it with a conversation. That's true. But the truth is that, like, again, sometimes it's the conversation that we can't get to. And
Right.
these 2 have just ugh. I had a hashtag going for a while I was writing it, and my hashtag was Mo and Bronwyn are being difficult. And that I would post things and I'm like, and it's always fun because, you get readers who are like, "But aren't you in charge?" And I'm like, "No,
No,
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 no, I'm
no. I
not."
used to believe that, and then I started writing.
Uh-huh, and I realized I'm really not. But
No,
it is such a second chance, redemptive forgiveness, not in a we don't have to deal with the consequences of our actions kind of way, but in a there's a lot of grace and we need to give it and receive it. And when we do, it there's so much freedom there. They're so happy. They're so happy now. But boy, it took a long time to get them there. So long.
well,
They drove me nuts. But it's a fun story. It's basically we've got a business and she is realizing that somebody is messing with the books and also making some threats against her. And it's a family business, so that's extra problematic for her because it's her own family that she can't trust, and she has to reach out, and, of course, the part of the beautiful thing is that when she does, he's there, and he goes into very protective mode, again, without talking to her, which I had fun with.
of course,
Um,
that is so great.
I did have fun with it, like, finding ways to get around it, but and then, of course, it is suspense, so there's a few explosions and shootings and things of that nature because why not? I mean, that's what makes it
Right?
we've gotta really crank up the tension, and I thought with these 2, they really could have circled each other forever. There was so
Yeah.
much hurt and so much pain, I think they could have just kept going, and part of what I love about romantic suspense is we do have those heightened emotions and heightened situations that kind of sometimes is enough to kick them out of this place where they are. And these 2 needed it. They literally needed some bullets before they could get their act together. And
Yep.
it made it super fun. I absolutely am not I have never been someone who's been like, I have favorite characters. I usually say, no, maybe the most recent characters or all of them or whatever. And these 2 are really, really testing that rule because I love them both so much. So, so much.
And that makes it even more fun to write. Can you just say when the
Mhm.
characters just have that extra something and your heart goes out to them for whatever reason, or maybe you just really 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 want to slap them so hard.
Oh,
I'm telling you, those are the most fun to write.
I I'm telling you, they yeah. It when you're sitting there like, "Really? Really? This is what we're doing? Really?" And
Right?
I really just want to strangle them, but it makes for such fun writing, and I have a hard time I'm in real life very conflict averse. I don't like
I
conflict
am
at
too.
all, and so it can make it hard for me because one time I was in a terrible mood, and this has been several books ago, and my husband was like, "What is your problem?" And it took me a minute to realize that the problem was that the characters were fighting, and I had not written them out of the fight yet, and I was
Stressed.
stressed
Yeah.
about it. And so this one was worse though because it's like 3 books. They've been in a mess for a while. But of course that's the advantage of writing romance.
Right.
I know where we're headed. So it's going to be okay. I think
Right.
we all need a happily ever after and it's part of what I just don't want to read a book that's going to depress me.
Right.
I have enough on my plate. So when I read, I want to enjoy it and I want it to be I can handle whatever you put them through as long as I know it's gonna be okay on the end at the end. And And even as a writer, that's helpful when you have characters like this where you're like, "Well, it's gonna be bad, but it's gonna work out.
Right?
It's gonna be okay."
It's so frustrating sometimes. You just like, ah. Well, it kind of reminds me of my friend. I had a friend who woke up. She had had a dream that her husband had an affair. And she woke up livid at him. She was furious. She called him at work and bawled him out for daring to have an affair in her dream.
In
And he
her
was like,
dream.
"You know how ridiculous that sounds." She's like, "I don't care. I'm mad at you." And that, guys, that's a little bit what this is like. Okay. I'm just saying,
Kind of, yes.
it's just,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, I have had a couple of dreams where my husband he not cheating on me, but has done things in dreams where I've woken up and been so annoyed and knowing that it makes no sense because it
right?
was a dream. But also be like, "Look, you better look out, buddy. Like, you better be on your
Yeah.
best behavior today because I got no room for you." And it's not fair. They haven't done anything. Nothing.
Exactly.
So not fair,
Oh, I
but
love
yeah.
it. I love it. Okay, so all right, research wise, you have blackmail going on and you have someone cooking the books and all this thing. So, like, what kind of research did you have to do for those?
Well, Google's always your friend.
Right?
I have done some stuff with some blackmail before. It was a little bit different, but you can find all kinds of, interesting things, especially with the FBI and also even with the Secret Service. So some of the stuff I've researched before where there's any kind of banking fraud happening that you can have fun with. And I struggle with this when I'm writing, always trying to find the line between I want my readers to know I've done my research, but I don't want to bog them down in the minutia
Right.
of you know forensic accounting because
Right?
really
It's
they're
not
not.
exciting.
No, it's not. It's detail oriented, and but I did discover that there are programs that forensic accountants can use. Apparently, I don't know, but basically there are certain numbers or certain repeating things that just don't happen if somebody isn't getting creative. And
Oh,
it
wow.
comes back to looking at almost like looking at randomization, where they can see that if there are certain, I don't know, if everything ended in 99 cents or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a way that they can look at the accounts and realize, wait a minute, these don't match with real world accounts and real world numbers. They're too much of one or the other, and they can see it. And then they start digging down from there when they start seeing these numbers that don't match, don't make sense, which I thought was just fascinating. I was like, so basically, if you're going to cook the books, you need to get really creative. But apparently, that's not it either.
No,
It's
because
not that. You did it
because
just
we
so
work in
different.
patterns, whether we mean
Yes.
to or not.
Yes. So that was really fun. And then I had a really fun time researching fire suppression systems. So without spoiling it, you can imagine that if you have a server room with lots of computer stuff on it, you wouldn't want a sprinkler system to go off where water
Right?
douses everything. That would be bad. And so I spent a lot of time researching server rooms and then the fire suppression systems for those types of situations because it's actually a gas instead of liquid so that it doesn't fry everything electrical in the room so it can hopefully be saved. And so that was also fun because then I'm
Wow.
Googling in the middle of the night, practically Googling and researching how long you can be exposed to the gases before it kills
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And will it kill you? And is it safe for you to breathe that stuff in? And what happens if you do? And then I always am like, "And I'm on somebody's list somewhere." Like, what is she trying
Right?
to do here? But I
I'm telling
really
you, I felt
I
like that
enjoy it.
trying to blow up a ship.
Yes.
You can't find the information, all right? and B, all I want to do is make sure that what I've written is plausible with what is reality. So I have to learn the reality so that I can go, okay, because I wasn't trying to write a how to create a bomb to blow up a ship. Okay, I don't even want to sink the ship. I just want to kill somebody on it and do some serious damage. That's all I want to
Right.
do.
That's
Come
all you
on,
do.
Google, let me Google. You
Yes.
can't Google this stuff. It's like, nope, can't give you that information. Nope, can't give. And then you finally get stuff. You finally get some information, and you know it's wrong when it calls C4 a low grade explosive. I'm like, no, nope, that's not true.
Mm, maybe
Move
not.
along. I mean, you all you want to do is find out if what you've done is plausible so that those people that know this stuff aren't annoyed by you. You know, you're doing your
Right.
best, but still, and even then, and the whole time I was like, my husband's work is going to show up at my door and haul me away. Okay.
Come back to
You know,
now, have
my
you
husband works for
ever
the DOD,
they're
they're
like,
coming after
they're
me.
coming. They're coming. You're on a watch list too, for sure.
I
What
am.
have you are you in the crime scene writers group? Do you know about this?
No, I don't. Where is
So
this and what
this
do I
is
need?
do you know those I it used to be a Yahoo group and then it became an is it an IO group? But basically it's called Crime Scene Writers. You can join it. Anybody who's writing can join it. It's fine. And there are FBI agents, there are, what is it? An medical examiners, pathologists, different cops, different people, and you can write your question and say, "Hey,
I
this
need
is what I'm
that.
trying to do. Is there anybody who can talk to me about this?" And when I was doing the dive team series, I needed somebody who was in cybersecurity and who knew about that kind of stuff, and they put me in contact with this guy who then proceeded to send me pictures of he was like, "So she might be really neat or she might be really messy. It could go either way. So her office might look like this or her office might look like that." He was fantastically helpful,
Oh,
and
wow.
they
Yes.
are a great group, but then also the archives are amazing. So sometimes you don't
Right?
even have to look, sometimes you don't even ask the question. You just check the archives for what you're looking for and you can find information. And then I'm also on a fire and what is it? Trauma group on Facebook. And those are mostly firefighters, but they are the same way. They know it's for writers and they'll answer questions about explosions or bombs or fire type stuff for people and talk
Ah,
about it, which is super handy. I think I must have heard about them at a writers police academy, which is always fun time.
which is the one thing I've wanted to go to for so long and I haven't done yet. I'm like, I just want to go. I just need to do this thing.
They're so fun. And but yeah, they're a great group. I'll have to find a link and send it to you so you can join it because
I would love that.
I have mine set on digest, so I get like 1 email a day, but then when I need it, I can go in and I can look in the archives and see if anybody else has already asked that question, and they're super helpful. Even I asked with Gossamer Falls, I asked the question, "This is the size of my town, how big would my police department be?"
Ooh.
And they got back to me. Somebody wrote back and was like, "Well, typically you would have this and this and this many people, and they'd work these shifts, and then they probably have a good arrangement with the sheriff and the county to cover things and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff." But they're great for that kind of stuff. So I enjoy that kind of research too. It's just fun
Oh,
to
yeah. That's the best.
learn things. Yeah.
And that's what I would have, and that's why I asked the question because that's what I would have wanted to know before I started writing. It's like, how did they get this info? I used to want so bad to write to D. Henderson and say, how did you learn this stuff? Because I'm fascinated that you managed to find it. So I mean, there are these things, right? And it's like, oh, I'm so excited. Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna have to look those up. And of course, half the listeners are gonna be going, oh, I'm gonna find out what they learned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so this is it. This is the last one. What are we doing next? Do we know? Are we allowed to say?
We are allowed to say I'm actually waiting for revisions right now from my editor. I have already written the next book in the next series. And because I really, really, really loved Gossamer Falls and didn't want to leave, I'm not going far. And there are a couple of characters who are secondary, relatively minor characters in Last to Fall who will be in the next book. And it's the next series is called Everett Hollow, and it is
I like that
set
too.
it's set um, in an adjacent county to Gossamer Falls. And
Ooh.
the first book, I will see. I don't know if I've quite nailed it, but it's a little bit of an upstairs downstairs. It's the head housekeeper at the Haven, which is the main location of the business that Bronwyn owns in Last Fall. The head
Oh, uh-huh.
housekeeper and a guest who is a tech mogul, billionaire. So we've got a
Ooh.
billionaire romance, little upstairs downstairs kind of situation. Also, Bronwyn has a very firm no fraternization policy. So I had to get around that. And so they're not wealthy. I mean, these characters don't live in Gossamer Falls. They live in an adjacent county and they drive to the Haven to work. But they have a lot of history and they're from that area. So I'm staying in the area, staying with a lot of people. Mo and Bronwyn will show up. Some of the Quinn family will show up, and but also a new group. And it's different. The Quinns, particularly in Gossamer Falls, I think just have that family vibe that everybody wants. You know, that big family that it's not perfect, but they love each other and they're there for each other. And the characters in Everett Hollow absolutely do not have that. That's not how they grew up. That's not where they are operating from. So it's a different vibe,
I like
but
that.
we get to rub shoulders with Gossamer Falls still. So we don't have to completely say
Ooh,
goodbye. So
I
I don't
like
have a
that.
cover. I do have a title, but I don't think I'm supposed to say the title yet. But I do have. I've not seen a cover. It'll probably be May, June before I get the go ahead on that stuff. But I was excited that I got to keep Everett Hollow because, like you were saying about Gossamer Falls, I worked really hard to come up with Gossamer Falls, and I told them point blank, I want to keep Gossamer Falls as my series title, and I want every title to have the word fall in it. And we got to do that with Everett Hollow. I had two possibles, but Everett Hollow was my favorite series name because you refer to it that way as a
Right, you
series.
do.
And I really loved that one, and that one is a little bit. My great grandfather's name was Everett, and he was an oral storyteller.
Oh,
he
I love it.
Everybody would sit around and listen to him tell stories and laugh hysterically, and some of my aunts would try to write them down, and it just didn't translate, and you had
It
to be
doesn't.
there, you had to hear it. And so I
Mhm.
loved using Everett. And then my husband's grandparents lived in the mountains of Western Virginia, not West Virginia. And they live in a holler. They lived there was, an annual event, they called it the Holler Picnic, and everybody would get together from the holler, and at the end of the road was this huge amount of property up on a mountain that was owned by this one person, and so I took that concept of their road, and that's the idea, is Everett Hollow. They all live, Hollow is actually spelled Holllow, but if you're saying it, it's the holler, like
It's the holler,
it's a holler with an ER, and
right? Hoot and a holler and a counterfeit dollar.
they all live in the holler, and that's the connection there for them. So I like playing with. That's part of why I like fictional settings because I can make them whatever I
Right.
want them to be. I can
Yep.
pull things that have meaning to me but don't fit geographically, and just
Right?
just move them where I need them to be. So,
It's so nice.
which is so nice.
And it doesn't change when you don't know about it, and you were gone for a
Right,
year, and that whole block got raised and turned into a parking lot, and that perfect little place that you wrote into your book has been gone for, 18 months since you
and you
were
had no
there, and
idea exactly.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I had it
So,
happen in my own stinking town. I'm
oh
writing about my own
no.
town. And there was a business that had been gone for like 3 years by the time I wrote about it. I didn't know. I
Oh
don't frequent bars,
no.
people. I don't, okay? And so I go over there. I get my stuff going. I'm like, okay, you're going to go in, you're going to walk around, you're going to see what this place looks like, and then you're going to walk out and you're going to write it all down really fast. I didn't even want to take pictures, right? So I'm just going to
Right.
do this. And I get over there, and I have spent a couple of weeks working up to this, because it's just not, I don't do well in social situations anyway. And so here I am going into this place that is totally out of my wheelhouse. And yeah, it's been closed for 3 years.
No.
And I'm like, too bad, so sad. It's open now, because I'm still writing it in there.
That's what fiction's all about, baby. We can
Yep.
bring it back.
Too much fun. Okay, so we're gonna have a cover reveal and a title reveal coming up soon. Where do people go to sign up to find out all this stuff, so they don't miss out and they know what's coming, when, and how, and all the good stuffness?
The very best place is to sign up for my newsletter. It's on my website, lynnhblackburn.com. Don't forget the H, lynnhblackburn.com. And you can subscribe to my newsletter. I send 2 a month. One is always has a freebie of some sort from somebody, not usually me. And then also all the new releases that I'm aware of that are coming out. And then one is more, what's going on with me and my writing. I send That's it. I'm not sending stuff every week, and sometimes I don't even manage the 2 a month because it's just life.
Right.
But that's the very best way, and then if you're on social media, @Lynn H. Blackburn will get me on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. I have a Twitter account, and I post to it, but I don't hang out there. And that's the best way to stay in touch and stay in the know. And it's a great time. You've got a completed series that you can knock out, read the whole thing, and then be ready to roll up into Everett Holler.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Well, Lynn, I know it's crazy late your time, and I've been yapping at you forever. So thank you so much for chatting with us. I so
Oh, I
appreciate
love
it.
it. Always love it.
Can't wait to see what you're going to do with Everett. I'm really excited to have Everett. I don't know why. I knew an Everett once upon a time, didn't like him. He was a creep. And so I am so excited to have something to redeem that name for me.
I
I've
love
wanted
that.
to use it so many times because it's the right time for the period that I'm writing, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. And I think you're going to redeem that for me. And I love that. That just made my day when you said Everett Hall. I was like, oh, I love it. I'm going to like Everett now. I just know it.
I love
I
that so
know.
much. I love that so much.
Shatona's weird. We all know this, and that's just how it is. Meanwhile, guys, I'm going to say have a good day. Go read these good books. If you haven't read them all, start at number 1. It'll be a better reading experience, but you don't have to. You can start with this one. It's okay. And yeah, I'll chat with you guys next time.